having any problems as far as bringing up the screen or any sound problems? Good. Um, Let me just remind everybody to please put your speakerphone on mute unless you're ready to ask a question, and she'll offer that to you to ask questions as she goes. But if you need to say anything, obviously, release the mute. If you don't have a mute button on your speakerphone, please cover the mouthpiece up. Really makes a big difference as far as just being able to hear everything. If anybody was on for maybe the last 4 or 5 minutes, you know what I'm talking about. You heard all sorts of different sounds in the background. So please do that. That'll help for everybody. I'm not going to take a whole lot of time here, but I did want to say a few things before we get started. I'm not going to do a roll call here. We invited everybody who did not attend last week to be on this one. What I would like you to do is to send me an email as soon as the conference is over with who was attending. So whatever store, if there's 2 people there, manager and co-manager, just give me both those names, and we'll just mark it down so we know for sure who all attended this. You already have some information that I've been, I guess, kind of sending out in bits and pieces to you. But we will be getting you some additional information even past the webinar. And Anna will speak to that a little bit later. But just some instructions, timelines, scheduling stuff, pay parameters, things like that. And I hope to get that out to you probably over the next week. I'm almost done with it, and actually I haven't sent it to the last group yet, but it'll be coming soon. Nevertheless, you can still get started doing some things even without that. But hopefully what you'll find is that the information that I will send will be helpful to you and to the students. Store number 90 with Dan Cuevas has been our pilot store on this. I'm sure he would say, and I don't think he's on the call today, but I don't think he would say that he's gotten as far as he had hoped to. But he has had several people take courses, and he's taken some department heads and some key people have. And I think in general it's gone very smoothly. But kind of going forward, I guess, if you have any difficulties on things, you've got some other resources, I guess, other than the Anna here, who's conducting today, and myself, and Dan Cuevas as well. If there's something that doesn't seem to be working right, maybe he can help you out too. So, as you know, we've been talking about this for really quite a long time, and we're really excited. I know I am, and I hope you are too, to see us finally getting into some more up-to-date, I guess, training and more comprehensive training modules for our people. Of course, this online stuff won't be the exclusive piece. Even now, we have some basic things that we cover with people in our videotapes, and of course our orientation book and such. And really what we hope to do over a period of time, and it's going to take us a little while, is to get those other pieces converted over to online stuff. So I guess the majority, at least, of the non-on-the-job training will be on the training PC. Will be through this, right through this program. So we've got some work to do to get there, but this will be a great start. This will be stuff that we have not had yet um, as part of a video or uh, any other kind of electronic, I guess, media. And of course, as we all know, that our guests are the primary focus for any of us, and yet sometimes what we haven't done a good job on, meaning the company, meaning myself, is providing enough information and training to our associates to do the best job that they can. I think it's great that they've got good attitudes and are pleasant and friendly and those things, and those are extremely important. But the more that we can do to build up their background, their arsenal, so to speak, and being able to answer questions and talk intelligently about their job, about the store, about different areas of the store, that will really be a big plus for us. So, conducting today's webinar is Anna Velasquez, and she's from the IGA Institute. She'll primarily be covering some basics about the program, but also about your role, and probably mainly about your role as administrators. What we wanted to do is start out with store managers as being the administrators of this in their store. We don't want to tie you down to the PC. That's the last thing we want to do. However, it is important that you have a good understanding of this and how it works, and at least get it off the ground smoothly with your involvement. Sometime down the future, I don't know how long it's going to take. It may be depending on the store. We can start looking at other people really being the administrators, and we'll all develop a kind of a sense of how much involvement it's going to take in terms of time and I'll call it effort, I suppose. As we get into the program. So I guess I'll turn it over to Anna and let her get on with the program. Thanks.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. What we have, guys, what we're offering you today, like Joe said, is a program that will allow you to do a lot of the knowledge piece in your stores online without having to have additional resources. This will give you a system that will provide information that is consistent and accurate among all your employees. So what we're going to do today is basically starting with the PowerPoint that shows how the system works. And then we're going to have a live demo where we're going to go into the program and see how you register people, where do you get the reports, where the grade book is. And if you have any questions along the way, just please stop me, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions and give you any feedback that we can. I mean, Joe and I are a very good team. We have been working together for quite some time now. And I appreciate immensely the job that he's doing with Fresh Encounters and getting you this program. I'm sure that you're going to be very pleased with the results of implementing this online training program. Okay, so let's launch and get our PowerPoints started. The first thing that we need to do, and my keyboard is just frozen. That's, okay, now we're moving. Okay, what we have in this program is a collection of courses. Right now there are 99 courses. We are launching today avocados. So they're organized in 8 libraries, and each one of those libraries is dedicated to a specific topic. We start with the Getting Started library, and this one, what it does is it shows the student how to navigate the system. So you really don't have to spend any time telling your employees, this is how you do the online training. There is a course specific for that. There are courses in the general knowledge library that are applicable to any area in the food industry. So there you have your customer service, your store safety, and many other courses that are basically general that everybody should be taking. There are convenience courses, and those really are not that relevant for your organization, but we do have a library dedicated to supermarket. And that is where we have those courses that are specific to certain positions. We have a logistics library and also a produce knowledge and a management library where we are going to offer you the courses that deal with issues of management, people retention, what's the future of health. Everything that is related to management is going to be in that library. And most of those courses are originated from the Coca-Cola Research Council reports, and these are very extensive reports, so they have given us permission to put this into courses. So those are very valuable and very powerful courses. And then we have the U.S. library, which has courses that are specific to the U.S. in terms of compliance courses. Okay, so that's basically our library. Our courses are updated consistently, and probably every 2 years, each one of those courses have been touched in one way or another. So we are not only adding new courses, you're also going to have a library that is going to be kept updated. Okay, so that's what we offer. And let me just move forward. And there are some benefits to this program. And those benefits are obviously the value. You don't have to worry about that. The system is very easy to use, meaning all you need to be able to operate this program is knowing how to read and point and click. The system is also measurable, meaning that you're going to be able to track the progress of your employees, and they're going to have to be tested and pass those post-tests in order to get certified. So it's just not sitting and looking at a video or just sitting and listening to somebody talk. They really have to prove that they have acquired some level of skills and knowledge in order to pass those tests. So it's a little more involved than your regular sit-down training. And we also have, as one of the benefits, the flexibility of the system, meaning you have the system available 24/7. You can register your employees whenever somebody new comes in, so you don't have to wait for anybody. You have total control of that. So it's basically training on demand. The system is also flexible because being available 24/7, you can train from anywhere at any time. And so those are the main areas that we discuss. The online training benefits, we just touched a little bit of this in the beginning. The system is accurate, is consistent, efficient, and it saves time and effort. The beauty of having an online program is that you are guaranteed the content that your employees are going to be reviewing. So nobody can come back to you and tell you, I never heard of that, nobody told me. If it's in the course, you must have viewed it and you must have answered a couple of questions to prove that you had some level of understanding of that content. So you can't rely on what your people are learning. And that makes it so much easier to manage your team. Our students do agree that the system is easy to use, that they have a lot more confidence into doing their jobs, and that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that people feel comfortable doing their actual job. I mean, that they're not afraid, that they have all the knowledge they need to perform. And the next item is that they are able to apply what they learn into their jobs right away. And what we're trying to do is give them think about it as vocational training. We're only teaching people what they need to do to learn to apply on their job. What we're trying to create is basically a learning culture into your stores. So part of of developing a learning culture is being able to commit to a program, which is what we're doing right now, communicating what the program is supposed to do, and then making it count. We're going to be keeping track on the progress of the program. Um, when we're talking about what we're going to be training, the system that we're providing you, it's like Joe said, it's going to be building on the things that we currently do. So we still have to do on-the-job training. We still have to do coaching. We still have to do classroom training and any other programs that we have currently going. What this is going to be doing is it's going to take the pressure of having to initiate somebody in the learning of the industry. We're just going to have a program that is going to bring everybody to the same level of knowledge, and then we build them from there. So let's talk about what the actual program does. What we are getting into is a learning management system. It's known in the industry as an LMS. And like I said, what this does is helps you track the learning. Not only gives you the tool to provide the training and track it, you can assign it, you can do a lot more things. So the tool that we're having, it allows us to create the courses, which is the assembler, and you don't have to worry about that part. The next tool of the program is the knowledge manager. And you're going to be tapping into the knowledge manager in order to manage the training at your store level. And the third part is the navigator. And the navigator is the interface that the student is going to use to access the courses. Okay? So that's the whole system and the pieces that it has. Now let's talk a little bit about the tools that the student will have as part of this system. First, the students are going to have access to all the courses. They can take unlimited. We're not going to restrict that. And they do have the ability, if they enroll in a course, they are going to be able to drop it. Every student is going to have a grade book. And in that grade book, they're going to be able to see all their training history. They can actually print that grade book and have like a transcript of all the training that they do online. That grade book has a section on details, and those details tells exactly the score that they had in each one of the post-tests that they take. And I'm going to show you those two pieces. And also, the grade book holds the certificates. So if a student needs to print their certificate, they go to their grade book and they have everything there available in one single place. The students also are going to have access to other tools to make their work much easier. So there's a frequently asked questions section in our website, and I'm going to show you that a little later. They have access to us. We have basically a help desk here. We work 8 to 5, but your students will have access to call us if they're working from home. If there's nobody in the office that can help them, they can actually reach us, and we will be happy to assist them. And most important, and I think it's the tool that they're going to use the most, is the forgot my password. So normally that's 99% of the calls that I get, it's forgot my password. So you don't have to worry about getting too many questions because the system is going to allow you to retrieve a student username and recall their passwords. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So those are the student tools. Let's talk about what you as an administrator are going to have. So your account, it's going to be exactly as a student account. But on top of that, you're going to have access to wizards and reports that are going to allow you to see and manage the accounts of other students. Okay? So the PDP stands for People Development Program. And the first part is the implementation, and that's when we had the meetings with Joe to define the program. The second part of the People Development Program is having these meetings with you guys to show you how to manage the online training. In addition, an administrator will have access to the reports. And the reports are various types, and they will all allow you to customize the information that you're going to be getting. So you're going to be getting information about the enrollments, basically what kind of training your students are doing. You can get information about the students' accounts. Personal information that we populate is going to be able to be retrieved from there. And you're also going to be able to retrieve information about their testing. In terms of the research, those are really the tools that you're going to be using to manage the program. They are going to allow you to go into a student account and make changes to their username, their name, their email address, and any other information that we track in there. You also have wizards that are going to allow you to move people from one store to another. And those are going to be available to people who are on top of the regions and to Joe's position who are in the headquarters. Within the store, you're going to have the ability to move somebody from the student position into the administrator position. So you're going to be able to move people only within your personal universe. You also are going to be able to enroll people in courses through the wizards. So any questions about what we have available for you for the students and the courses? Are we good? Okay. So if you, like Joe said, if you feel free to unmute if you have any questions. Okay. And let's move along. If my keyboard is frozen again. Okay, here we go. Let's talk now about how the system organizes Fresh Encounters training program. First, the lowest level of their hierarchy is always going to be the store. And at the store is everything that we need for training. You're going to have a store organization, and then you're going to have two positions. And the first one is the Learning Management System Administrator. The second one is the student. And when we register a person, what we are basically doing is creating a user account that gets assigned to the student position. So everybody that you're going to be registering online is going to go automatically into the student bucket. If you want that person to have administrator access, you will have to use one of the wizards to move that person into the administrator position. Okay? But all the stores will follow the same format. And then we will build this up by creating regions on top of the stores that group multiple stores. And then at the top of the hierarchy, we're going to have the headquarters that group the regions and their stores below. So basically, it's a totally linear hierarchy. You will only have access to your organization and below. So you have your store, and anything that's below your store, you have control over. Okay? So let's move along and into what would be a multiple hierarchy. And this is how Fresh Encounters hierarchy will look. So we have the headquarters and the stores below that. But you don't have to worry much about this. This is just so you understand how the whole reporting structure works. Because the main impact that we have, that our hierarchy has, is controlling access and the reporting tools. What kind of information are you going to get from your reports? So let's look at the whole process of managing the online training. And this is where I'm going to sold you out in the idea that this is very easy to do. We have already registered the stores for you. Every administrator should already have their personal login plus the store code for your store. With that store code that we have provided you, you're going to use that to register your students. And I'm going to show you exactly how you register a student. It takes 2 minutes to put somebody in the system and have them ready to train. So we register our people using the instructions that Joe will provide on who should be taking what courses based on their positions. you're going to have the ability to tell people, okay, you're a cashier, these are the courses that you're going to have to take. And this is going to be the timeline. That person with that username and password goes into the system and enrolls in the courses. They study the content, they take the test, they obtain their certification. So really, you don't have to get involved in any part of the process of learning, other than asking questions if somebody needs some assistance regarding the content and how you do your procedures in-house. But really, the learning experience is controlled by the student. The student, with their certificates, notifies you, and you will know what's going on. But you also have the ability of doing your reports, and those reports will tell you everything that has been going in training in your store. And the second responsibility of the administrators is just going to be doing the maintenance, making sure that if somebody leaves the store, that account gets inactive. Part of your responsibility is going to be keeping email addresses updated and current names. If somebody gets married, for example, doing those changes. If somebody gets moved from one position to another, becomes an administrator, you can do those changes. If somebody gets moved from one store to another, you will have to report it to Joe so he can do those changes. But basically, this is the whole system. You register your student, the student takes the courses, you run the reports, and do the maintenance. And that's all it takes to get your people into the program. So let's move along. And let's look at how the courses look. This structure is basic structure for the system. All the courses are divided in parts. Obviously, depending on the number of content and how complex the topic is, you might have more parts, you might have less. The important thing to know is that at the end of each part, you're always going to have a post-test. And the student must pass all the post-tests in a course in order to obtain the certificate. A heads up, normally somebody calls you and tells you, okay, I completed all the tests, I passed the test, and the system is not letting me complete the course. You can be guaranteed that it's probably they missed one of the post-tests. So all of them have to be completed in order to obtain your certificate. Now let's talk a little bit about the certificate. When you get your certificate, this is an image of what you're going to get, and it's going to have the student name, the name of the course, and the date when they completed. And like I said, this certificate lives in the student gradebook. It's important because it's a third-party certification. The passing score to obtain a certification is 80%. So each one of those post-tests must be passed with 80% or higher in order to complete that post-test. There are customized tutorials, and those customized tutorials, what they do is they look at the results of a student test, and if they score between 79 and 50, the system goes and pulls those topics where the student got the answers wrong, and then puts it in a mini course for them to review, and at the end of that tutorial, they're going to have a tutorial test that if they pass, then they pass the whole part. So basically what the system is doing is giving them the opportunity to retry without having to take the whole part test. And that only happens if you score between 50 and 79%. There is double randomization, and this is what we do to protect the testing environment. We want to make sure that we're fair, that we are not giving the students, everybody the same test. Normally when you see an online training program, you have one test, everybody has the same test. So if somebody goes and copies the test, they can pass it along, and nothing is going to be prevent other people to just using that key or master to be able to answer the test. Our system works a little different in there, and this is probably one of the things that differentiates our program from others. When a student gets to the post test, what is happening is that computer is sending a message to our server requesting a new test to be generated for that student. And what the server does is it goes into each one of the topics of the part and pulls one question per topic. And we have a bank of questions that probably will have anywhere between 2 and 5 questions per topic. So the system will randomly select one question per topic and puts it in the test. If the student has to take the test again because they didn't pass, the whole process is going to repeat. So there's going to be a whole different set of questions pulled out into the exam. So that's the first level of randomization. What makes it double is that the order in which the answers are placed in the question is also going to be randomized. So if by any chance you get the same question twice, the order in which your answers are going to be in there is going to be different. So even if you had a key, it's not going to work because you need to actually know the right answer in order to answer correctly. So that's the double randomization. Because we have a very strict testing code, what we are doing is we're giving the students the opportunity to take the test as many times as they need to. And this is something that you should make your students aware. A lot of people get really stressed when now you go and tell them you have to be doing tests in order to do all this training. So if you tell them, it's unlimited retesting, you can take it as many times as you need to, there's no penalty, nobody really cares. What we care is that you pass the test at the end of however many times you try it. Okay, so that puts a lot of people at ease. Let's talk now about the learning paths. And this is something that we have been working on and that Joe has designed for you. So you're going to be able to get specific details on the courses that each one of the positions are going to be taking. Okay? So you don't have to worry about assigning courses. So now let's talk a little bit about the policies. So Joe, this is the part where I want them to hear it from you, what the actual policies are. So when we talk about registration, we're talking about how are we going to decide who goes into the system and at what time. So Joe?
Yes?
Yes, could you explain to them how we're going to be handling the registration? That it's going to be at store level? And when do we put them in?
Yes. Actually, I already had sent everybody the list of their folks, all the current people as of actually a couple of weeks ago, using that login format with the username and password. So that's the information that you would use to register somebody in your store. And then with new people coming on, just use that same formula, that 3-digit store number, and then their first initial and last name, all lowercase, as their username. And then the password is FE, and then the last 4 digits of their social security number. So you will just do that at the store. And really you don't have to do them all at once. You can gradually do them over a period of a couple weeks here, 2-3 weeks. I guess as I see it, we're going to probably be starting out, for the most part, maybe not in every store, but for the most part, kind of starting out slowly with it, with a few key people, pick out a few people that you think we want to get them on right away, and then gradually keep adding people.
Okay. So thank you so much for that, Joe. Now let's talk a little bit about where people are going to be training. So it's been decided, right, that everybody is going to be training at the office with the computers that have been provided. So that's not going to be a big issue. Keep in mind that students, they have, once they have their username and password, they can access all the courses from any computer anywhere. So there's a little leeway if somebody wants to review content or they want to do other courses besides what's assigned. They're going to be able to to get to the training. So Joe, this is where I think it's important. And the when are they going to be training and the compensation piece. And I really want them to hear it from you.
I'm
Yes,
sorry,
sir.
Anna, I didn't quite catch that last
Oh,
part.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What I wanted you is for you to explain to them how are we going to work out with the assigning of time to the training and where on the schedule, how are we going to work with the training time?
Oh, okay. At least I can give you some basic parameters here, I guess, or
Hmm.
approach to this. Uh, First of all, we do want people doing it at the store, and it'll be a matter of working it into their schedule, into their normal shift. Could be at the beginning of their shift. It could be, somewhere in the middle if you think that fits best, or at the end of the shift. But it does need to be scheduled rather than just, why don't you just go back and get on your course for a little bit, and then in 10 minutes you call them up front. So it's going to take some discipline. I'm sure that scenario is probably going to happen occasionally. Hopefully it's rarely. So you'll need to schedule it, plan it out. So-and-so needs such and such a course. Let's plan on this, on doing that on Wednesday at 3 o'clock, and they'll be on it for half hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour topside. I think Anna spoke to that
Hmm.
already, as far as how long. Uh, if somebody does want to get on and check it out at home, maybe practice a little bit, we're not going to say that they cannot do that, but their paid training time will be done at the store. So.
And that's very important to know.
And we'll give you some parameters and like I say, some suggestions, I guess, on how to go about doing that.
In one of the things we talked about the courses being divided in parts. So having somebody train from one part and then taking the test is the best way to chunk the training. It does help when somebody starts a course, does a section, does the testing, and then 1 or 2 days later they come back to do the other part with its corresponding test. That kind of pattern does help the student refresh what they learned before in order to get engaged into the new part that they're going to be developing. So if you're going to have people working in shorter periods of time, make sure that it's enough time to complete a part. And parts always range anywhere from 20 minutes to 40 minutes, depending on the complexity of the course. But like Joe said, it's important to schedule it and to have the student come into the store with the mind geared toward the learning process. Okay, so they can prepare psychologically to train that day. Okay, and the tracking part refers to how often are we going to do the reports. And I believe Joe was discussing to have them. Um, was it monthly, Joe? If I'm not mistaken, monthly first and then monthly.
Yeah, I think monthly is
Mm.
going to be kind of our starting point, and it's probably not or something that we could do more often, or a store could do more often if they want. But I think generally speaking, probably a and then maybe we'll get on to, once we get people through the majority of their stuff, then maybe we'll get into a quarterly tracking.
Okay. That's very important. And that tracking it's key to keep track of what's going on in training on the store. You're always going to have some people that go and do their training right away. You're going to have those that are going to try to shy away from it. And training, tracking is a good way to figure out who those people are. And it takes 2 minutes to run a report. So that's not going to be a problem. Joe, this is this is the compensation part. So if I recall correctly, we discussed about because it's going to be their training during their work shift, that's what they're going to get paid, right? And, okay. And like Joe said, if they train at home, that is on their own. Yeah, it's not, the store is not involved in that piece.
One thing on that, I guess,
Sure.
as I make a note for myself on it, is, we don't want to be in a position or put the associate in a position that, we're not providing the time to get the course done, but we insist that they have it done by, let's say, in a week's time or whatever it might be, where we're, in essence, forcing them to do it at home, because we say, oh, we're not going to add it to your schedule or whatever. So let's not go down that road with them. On the other hand, I can see some folks saying, oh, yeah, I want to go out there and take my next course or do a practice run on my next course. We'll probably have a few of those folks.
It's important to manage the time. And there are estimated duration times for each one of the courses. So you can kind of keep tabs on people and know whether they're training properly or not. Okay? And always keep in mind that some people, abilities are different, so we can't expect everybody to meet the deadlines or work the course within the estimated times. But a little leeway is okay, but they shouldn't do that too much. And accountability goes back to the tracking. It's just making sure that people are following what they need to be done. Okay? And there are some, Joe, we have some parameters on when and deadlines on when things should be completed by.
Yes, and we'll have that as part of that agenda, I guess, on what all courses a person's supposed to take, what kind of time frames we want to shoot for.
Okay. And there's one thing that I would like to mention is that we work on a 1-year calendar basis. That means that if a student registers in a course in January, they have until December 31st to complete it. If they register in a course in December, they have until December 31st to finish. So that at the end of the year, we are going to finish all the courses, or whatever we haven't done is going to be dropped. So if you completed a course, it goes into your record, into your grade book, and it's going to remain there forever and ever. But if you have a course, for example, that you did 2 parts, you passed the test, but there's a 3rd part that you haven't completed, you're going to lose the whole thing. So whatever you start within 2013 must be completed by the end of 2013. Then January 1st, you can enroll again in the courses. Okay, just make sure that you keep that in mind when you assign courses and you register people. So, if any
We don't want people starting several courses and then not being able to get to them. Because by the end of the year, if they haven't done them,
yes,
they're starting over.
Mhm. Yeah, and they will have to review again and take the tests again. So it's a loss of payroll time, and we don't want to do that. So this quote that we have here is one of my favorites. Alvin Toffler is a futurist, so he's always been concerned about what's going to happen in the future in the industry. So he says that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. And that's what we're trying to do with this system. We're trying to give you a tool that will provide new content and new knowledge to your employees all the time. What happens when somebody gets used to the learning process is that it's faster for them to learn. They become better employees. They exhibit better behaviors. They exhibit better skills. They reduce your losses because they're not damaging product. They're not losing customers. So you want an employee that it's able to move up with the times. We have new competition and new things coming on in our stores all the time. So we want to make sure that our employees are able to face anything that is thrown at them because they're used to that learning process. Okay. So any questions so far of everything that we talked? I think policies, what we just talked last, is one of the most important things because that gives you the framework for the program. So any questions? If you have any questions, please unmute your phone. Um, while I give you a second, what I want to show you is the website that we're going to be using to log in into the system is grocerytraining.org. And I'm going to close my PowerPoint, and I'm going to go to that website. And just going to go in here and do. I have I'm in a different computer. Grocerytraining.org. And in this website, there are a few things that you should be aware of. The online courses menu that I'm trying to make here a little bigger. The online courses menu is going to give you a list of all the libraries, and within those libraries, you get the name of the course and the languages that they are available. And when you click on the course name, then you get the description with the duration. If you want to have an overall list, your best bet is the course list catalog. It's a PDF that has the list of all the courses with the name and the libraries. And this computer is not opening that PDF. Okay, I apologize for that. I'm using a different computer to record the webinar, so we have it available for future use. And this computer is not allowing me to open the PDF. But trust me, there is a PDF attached in there. So you have the online courses list. We have my tips winner, and this is something that you can promote within with your students. If people find a typo or any link that doesn't work, or they have a suggestion, they want additional content, whatever comment they have about the course, they can give us their feedback, and we choose every month the 2 best comments, and we give them $50 gift certificates. So it's a little way to get some extra cash, and it's a way for us to encourage participation of our students. So that's my tips, and that's listed there. The next menu is the frequently asked questions. And this is your first line of defense. So if you forget how to do something, this is the place that you're going to come to. If you have any questions about what the requirements of the system are, here they are listed. Please write this down. Make sure that everybody knows that you need to run Internet Explorer as your browser to do the courses. You need to have the pop-up blocker disabled, and you need to have your security level on the browser at medium, at least. And those things are important because there is a lot of live communication happening between our servers and the computer where the student is taking the course. So those channels should be fluid and the information can pass through in order to get recorded in our system properly. Okay, so these are the system requirements. Also, for example, if you forget how to register a student, there's a step-by-step instruction in here. Okay, so there are a lot of information. There is a lot of information. These are the incentive programs, but in any case, that's what you have in the frequently asked questions. Okay, so let's go back to our home page and see where we're gonna log on. So if any of you have been into the system, first button, obviously you enter your username and password and get into the system. Register store, you don't have to worry about it because your stores are registered. Register administrator, you don't have to worry about it either because you're gonna have the ability to move anybody within your store to make them an administrator. What we are concerned with is the register student. And that is the yellow button, the fourth button down. And I click on that, and I get my registration form. And the first thing that it's going to ask me is for the store code. And I can type my store code, and as you see, it's blocked. It's represented in little circles. So if you're not sure that you type correctly the store code, delete it and type it again. The store codes are sequential numbers, so if you make a mistake, you put a 4 instead of a 5, and that's very common to happen, then you're going to be registering your student in a different store. So always make sure that you have the correct store code. First name and last name, the legal name of the student. Always make sure that the first letter is capitalized. Make it look good because whatever information you put in here is what's going to show up in the certificate. So if you misspell somebody's name, it's going to be misspelled in their certificate. So first name and last name, the legal names, and correct spelling. And first letter capitalized. The email, that Joe, we said that before, and correct me if I'm mistaken, you can use the student email. And the reason of having an email address is that there are automated notifications that go out. For example, when you register somebody, the username and password are automatically sent to that email address. If somebody enrolls in a course, there's a confirmation sent to that email address. If somebody drops the course, the same. For example, if we upgrade a course and we have a new version, we will send an email to those people who are registered in the old version to let them know so they can drop that one and they can come and enroll in the new version. So it's very important to have a valid email address. If you have somebody that is going to be changing email addresses, just let them know that they have either to notify you of an email address change, or there could be a store general email address that will be used. So emails are very important. Okay.
For 90 was the majority of the people, vast majority of the people did have a personal email address, but there were a few that did not, and we just used the store manager at Fresh Encounter, whatever store number at Fresh Encounter. So you can do that. I really think probably to at least start out with, it's a good idea to have those email addresses in there. We may find later that, for example, if they don't have an email address, maybe not using ours. But to start off with, I think we should at least have an email address in there.
Good. Well, I think we should try to bring everybody into the 21st century. And if somebody doesn't have an email account, we can help them create a Gmail account, for example, so they have one. And that would not be a bad thing to do. Okay. And the username and password, has to follow that format that Joe was indicating. And it is critical because the username has to be unique. So using that format kind of guarantees that no two people have the same username. And once you have all the information in there, all you do is click complete registration, and the system is going to give you a confirmation. Welcome, so-and-so. You are an employee of this store. Welcome to the system. And immediately below, there's going to be a link that is going to allow you to register, to go back and log in into the system. Let me just take this off. And so that's all it takes to register somebody. It takes 2 minutes to complete the information and get them ready and going. So I'm going to go back to my home page. Any questions about the registration process? Because this is about as involved as you're going to have to get into the program. Any questions about that?
I have one.
Sure. Go ahead.
Store code, is it be specific to the store?
Yes.
Okay, are we going to
Yes. And actually, when you log in with your username and password, it's going to say administrator, and there's going to be a number following it. That number is going to be your store code. So if you ever forget what it is, just log in into your account and you'll see it there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, not a problem. Anybody else? Okay, we're good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log on, and I'm going to enter my username and password. And if I forget my password, this is where I come to retrieve it. So there is a little link right underneath the logon button. It says forgot my password. I click on it with my username, and it sends it automatically to my email account. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and log on. And the first time you log in, it's always going to take you to this preference page. And you have an option to bypass this. And so first what we do is look at our position. In my case, because I manage many stores, I have many positions. But in your case, it's only going to be administrator and, like I said, the store code following. So if you want to bypass this screen, you can choose whether to go into the catalog view, which shows you all the courses in all the libraries. Or you can go automatically into the enrolled courses, which will only show you those courses that you're currently working on. It's not a big deal to bypass this screen because you can always go from one screen to another once you're in the program. So if you want to take the easy route, I don't know, pick and choose one of the views, and then you click yes, save your preference, and then you will never have to do this, deal with this screen again. So I'm going to click submit, and I'm going to go to the catalog because I want to show you how it looks with all the courses. And if you remember, we talked about the libraries. When we get to the catalog list, we have different groups of courses, and they're differentiated by color. Each one of those colors represents a library. So if we look at what these 3 columns are, first one is the library. So they're currently sorted by library. The second column is the course name. And the final one is the enroll column, and this is where you either choose start to continue a course that you're currently working on, or you click enroll to start a new course. If I click in any of the courses names in those links, what I'm going to get is a description of the course with the duration, and I can check here to decide if I want to really take the course, if I want to enroll. So I'm going to close that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start our courtesy clerk course. And I've been in that course before. That's why my button says start. And what it does when I click start is launches a separate window with the actual course. And all the windows look basically follow basically the same format. Let me just close all this
Many
and
types
bring
of
it to the
equipment
bigger.
have been
Sorry,
introduced.
pop.
Many types of equipment have been introduced.
Okay, so I'll go to the first page. I was in this course before, so it took me to the page I was when I left the course. And that happens because when I was exiting the course, I clicked the exit bookmark button that is at the top right. And it works literally like the bookmark. It will remember my last page. I also have on the bottom the forward arrows, which is how you normally navigate to the course page by page. I also have the red link of my tips and feedback at the bottom of the page. So if I want to provide some feedback, then I just click on that and it opens a little survey screen like, and in here I can add my comments about the course, and that gets directly to us. On the left side, what I have is basically my table of content. And this course, Courtesy Clerk, has only 2 parts. And if I click on the right triangle, I see that it has 3 lessons. And each one of those lessons have multiple topics. And at the end of lesson 3, what I have is my post-test. Okay? So normally, if I'm a student, I'm clicking forward, and if you look at my table of content, it has highlighted the page that I'm in.
What happens at the front end? The front end, where checkout, shopping
all
carts,
all
and the
these
front
new
entrance are usually
courses
located,
have narration,
is
so
the
it's
first and last
important
area
to be
of your store
considerate
that
to
consumers
the
see.
students. They probably will
As a
have
consumer enters,
headsets,
it is your
so
store's
they are
first
not bothering
chance to make
everybody
a good
around them
initial
when they're
impression.
listening to the
When a
courses.
consumer leaves,
So as
it
I
is the
move
last chance
forward,
to send him or
look
her
at my
home on
table
a
of
high note.
content here, and you see that the new page
You
title
help create
gets
a great
highlighted in
front
red
end.
as I move.
What are the front end's
through the
2 most
course.
important contributions?
Okay? So I can
What
actually
services?
click in any one of these topics
How should you interact with
and go
consumers?
automatically to that page. So I click shopping
Many types of
helpers,
equipment have been introduced
and
into the grocery
that's the name
industry,
of the
which
section,
helps to make the consumer's
the
shopping trip
topic,
more
and
enjoyable and your
it
job
launches the
easier.
narration
These include
and the activity
shopping
in
carts.
regarding
Shopping carts allow
helpers.
consumers to collect their
So when I get
purchases
to my
through
post
self-service.
test,
Consumers push
it's
carts
gonna
along the
have
aisles
my
as they
test generated for me displayed. So if I click post test again, then I'm going to have a new question set into my post test. And every time that I click on this, I'm going to have a whole different selection. Okay? So it's generating a new post test. So a student comes in here, answers the questions, and then gets to the end and clicks submit. And immediately my test gets evaluated, and the system tells me, okay, you scored 6% out of 80%. You didn't pass. Now it tells me what I can do. I can either move ahead and forget about that post test, or I can go back and review. And actually, that's what it's suggesting go back now, review the content, and do the test again. And then at the bottom of the page, I have my course summary, which tells me first the name of the course, and then it tells me each one of those parts have tests, and it's going to keep my highest score. So the highest score that I have had in this post test, the first one, is 18%. And the status, obviously, is like a traffic light. It tells me it's all in red because I haven't passed anything for this test. So any questions about post-test and how the courses are laid out? Are we good with this? So let me bring back the course to its original state, and I'm going to go to the first page and exit bookmark. And that closes my course, and it brings me back to my course catalog page. And I have a few items in here that I want to discuss. If somebody tells you that the courses look like Chinese, it probably is true, because there's a text box for languages, and I can pick and choose any language. So if I pick Chinese, what the system does is it changes everything, all my interface into Chinese. So to go back to English, all I have to do is go back and pick another language, and hopefully I pick something other than Chinese. And it takes me back to English. So see, I can read Chinese now. So that's basically the text box for languages. If I want to go back and see only the courses that I'm currently enrolled in, I can click the Enroll Courses button here. So I click that, and then it's going to give me a shorter list. And there are no instructor-directed courses right now. This is going to be used in the next phase of development that it's going to be coming this fall. And then it gives me a list of the courses that I'm currently working on. I have my Start button and my Drop. So that makes it easier to manage the courses that I'm currently working on. And I have a last section here, which are curriculums. So we haven't talked about this. There are some courses listed in the catalog that are actually curriculums. So everything that you see that has a sequence number on the end of the title, like 1 to 4 or 1 to 15 or 1 to 6, these are curriculums. And it's basically the first one, the food safety and sanitation, is 4 different courses on food safety and sanitation that have been grouped together. And this is a linear curriculum, meaning that a student must take all the courses in the order that's been specified. So let's start this so you get a view of it. So this is my food safety and sanitation, and I have 4 courses, and I only have active the first course. That's the only one that I can start. And once I finish that, then the second one is going to turn active, and it's going to have a start button. There are some other curriculums that are not linear, meaning that I can go and take any course at any point. And the progress here tracks the courses that you have completed. So those are basically the curriculums. The neat feature about the curriculums is that once you complete each one of the courses, then you're going to get a certificate for the whole curriculum. So you get one for the curriculum and a certificate for each one of the courses. So in this case, you will get 5 certificates. I'm sorry. So let's look at the grade book. Right underneath the NGA logo on the top left, I have a grade book, which is the green little book. And I click on that, and it's going to open the list with all the history of all the courses that I have completed since I started here in 2006. So it first lists me the completed course. And the information that I get is the course name, the date when I enrolled, and the date when I completed. Courses that I haven't finished are at the end. And these are the courses that I'm currently working on. So I only have my start date. I also have a details link at the end of the name of the course. So if I click the courtesy clerk, which is one that I use a lot for demos, you can see here that the test that I just did is listed. It's 6%, and it's incomplete. I didn't pass, and I took that course, that post-test today. Okay, so the details tells you all the history, and I have done this part 1 5 times, and all the 5 attempts are listed here. So let me just close this and look for a course where I have completed and passed, and look underneath the details. I have that little icon that looks like a certificate. I click on that, and it opens my certificate for that course in a separate window. And I can use my browser to print this, schedule, save it as a Word document, or any other things that I want to do with my certificate. Okay, so let me close this and go back to my gradebook. So the last thing that I'm going to talk to you about is the tools menu, which is again underneath the NGA logo. It looks like a screwdriver and another tool across of it. So I click on that, and what I get is my menu for wizards and reports. And like I said, the wizards is the tools that you're going to be using to manage the student accounts. The reports is what you're going to be using to extract information from the system. And let's start with the reports. And the first one is the one that you're probably going to use the most, the first one that I'm going to show you. And is in the list is the last one. Is the one-click report. And all I have to do is click the link, download report, and it's going to launch Excel, and it's going to ask me whether I want to open or save the report. So I click open, and it automatically gives me everything that has happened in my store for the last 12 months. So I get my store name, a code that indicates whether a person is a student or an administrator, and you don't have to really worry about that. It gives me the employee name. It gives me the course they took. And are you guys seeing my screen? Because is everybody seeing these windows that I'm working on? Joe, are you seeing the screens?
Yes, I am.
Okay. For some reason, I can't see my view of what you guys are seeing. So I was kind of concerned about it. But if you're seeing it, then everybody's seeing it. Perfect. Thank you.
Actually, it bounced around a little bit with some unusual stuff, but now it's back on.
You're seeing the Excel window?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. We're good then. I told you, you can see the course name, then the date a student registered, the date that a student completed a course. If they completed, there's going to be a date there. And the same thing for those who drop the course. So it just takes a second to run this report. And this one-click report is going to give you everything that has happened in your store in the last 12 months. So it's the easiest and quickest way to get information about training in your store. So I'm not going to save that. So let me go back to my window for reports. And there are other reports. I'm going to show you the enrollment report, and the format of the wizard that is used to run the enrollment report. It kind of works the same for everything else. And I just want to get you the flavor. You don't have to worry about remembering anything of this, because all this is documented and it's online in the frequently asked questions, and it's in the getting started document. So by the time you get ready to use these reports and wizards, we're going to have a session to go over these ones in detail. And I'm going to show you how to extract the data, use the filters and functions to get a summarized information. But I just wanted you to get a flavor of it and feel comfortable to come in here and try them yourselves with the information from the data from your stores. So basically the enrollment report, and this is how all of them run, you start with a description of the wizard, and you click next step, and what it's going to be asking you basically is the name of your store. So if you just type the first 3 letters of your store, it's going to find it, because you have limited access to your store. So just by typing a few letters from the store name, it's going to find it and give you everything that matches, that you have access, that matches that entry that you did there. So I'm going to click NGA Demo Store, and I'm going to click Next Step. And the next window is always going to be the fields that are going to be in your report. So anything that is display order, it's the fields that are going to show up in your report. And you can customize this change the order, add new fields, or remove fields of information that you don't care about at the moment. So I'm going to leave it as is. I'm going to do next step. And then it takes me to a filter window where I can choose to see all the information for a particular student. So if I want to see Joe, I can type Joe's last name here. And the report will only give me anybody who matches that last name. And then I can choose any time period. So if I leave the dates in blank, I'm going to get all the data for all my store for that employee. If I want to see only completed courses, I just put the time period that I'm looking for. Or if I only looking for example, food safety and sanitation, I want to see that everybody is updated in my store with the food safety and sanitation courses. I just type food safety, and then it's going to give me everything that matches that criteria. So basically, this page is like a filter. I can run the reports as Excel or web page. And so I'm going to leave it as a web page because you already saw an Excel one. So I'm going to click Next Step. And it's going to give me everything in my store that matches the training for all the history. So this is my report for my store. Okay? So this runs pretty quickly too. So I'm going to close this. And I'm just going to tell you what the other reports and wizards do so you can feel comfortable with what they are. So I'm going to get again to my tools and get in my window. So we saw the one-click report, which gives me everything for 12 months. We saw the enrollments report, which tells me all the course enrollments, and I can filter the information. I have the student test details, which is going to give me the highest score for each one of the post-tests that my student takes. So basically, I can go and look at Joe's record and say, I want to see Joe's record, his scores for the courtesy clerk course. And that report is what I'm going to be using for that. I have the student report, which is going to give me a list of everybody in my store that has an account. So if somebody comes back to you and tells you, well, I never been registered, nobody gave me an account, and you feel like you did, you can run this report and find out if that person has an account, whether they haven't used it or not. If there's an account in the system for that person, it's going to be showing up in the student's report. And the store information, you don't have to worry much about it because it's just the basic information about your store, the address, the phone, and that kind of thing. Then let's look at the wizards. The first one that we have is the assign or remove people from knowledge positions. And that's the one that you're going to be used to make somebody from a student into an administrator, or vice versa. Or this is what Joe will use to move somebody from one store to another. And that's a neat feature because students don't lose their history. They take their training history with them into the new store. So all their records are moved with them. Then you have the course enrollment wizard. That is what you will use if you want to pre-enroll somebody. So you have somebody that comes new into the cashier position and you want to make sure that this person takes these courses, you can pre-enroll that person in those courses. And then the user details is the one that I'm going to show you. And this is the one that is going to give you access to the student account. So I'm going to run the wizard. And you can see that the wizard layout looks exactly the same for reports as for wizards. The first page, again, is a description. Now it's asking me about students. So let's see if Joe, I have access to his account. So I do that. I click Next Step. No, he's not in this unit that I'm using. So I'm going to use myself. And I'm going to click Next Step. And there are two accounts under my name. And I'm going to pick one. And I'm going to click Next Step. And this is exactly the tool that I use to manage the program. And this is all the information that I can track. So you can add additional information in here for your student. What is important here is the first entry is the status. So if somebody leaves the store, you run the user details wizard, come to this page, click inactive, and that account will not, the student will not be able to access the online training anymore. Okay? So that is the most important piece of that. If I need to change somebody's username or password, this is where I do that. And then there's additional information like the email address that defaults from the registration. But you also can add information in here. And any information that you put into the user details wizard is information that you can extract from the system using the student report. Okay? So it's not dead information in here. You can even have comments added into here. Important to know about this wizard, and this is the only one that requires this. You have to get to the end of the wizard in order to be able to save the changes. So if I make changes in this page and then I exit, it's not going to save those changes. I have to get to the last white screen page in order to save the changes. So that is my spiel for today. It's your turn now. So please feel free to unmute your phones, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.